The return of Golden Bullet has brought about another large influx of returning players as well as new. However, one thing that has never really been discussed is how to actually optimize your farm during this illustrious time period where we're able to garner a lot of resources, stars for our named and exotic caches, as well as just overall fun because shooty bang bang. Now, although there are a lot of different ways in which you are able to farm depending on the type of farm you are doing, XP farms would be your resource convoys, loot farms would generally be your open areas and spamming varying different events as well as control points within that areas, but with Golden Bullet we're able to optimize this just a little bit further and maximize our overall output depending on what it is you are wanting, needing, or just generally want to do. Obviously, with the inclusion of Countdown in recent date, the overall farm where you'll be wanting to farm gear pieces as well as some resources, protective fabrics and receiver components, etc, will be from Countdown. However, if you're like me, Countdown is utter garbage, little bit of AIDS and some stupidity thrown into the mix. It's not a fun place to be simply because people just want to run around and shoot stuff and never or rarely complete the actual objectives. And of course, Golden Bullet doesn't really take effect in Countdown. So, what is it that I am referring to? Well, to add a personal twist on this, as it stands at the moment, I am actually looking for a Picaros holster with status effect. Apparently this is the bane of my existence. I've been farming for this since Picaros came out. It's not once dropped, and yeah. So whenever Picaros holster is in the open world, I will tend to do open world events. Adding in Golden Bullet here just makes things a little bit quicker, easier, and a bit more fun. So, as of the day of this recording, in the west end, which is the top left area of your map, Brazos is dropping. So I am limiting my farm to this area. And all I am doing is running around like a lunatic, killing everything in sight. If I have to fast travel, I'm trying to avoid utilizing the safe house. This way I am able to keep whatever stacks I have built up, utilizing memento or varying other things. I can keep hold of them. If you return to the safe house, you do tend to lose these stacks. Because I have limited my farming to a very specific area, just on the off chance that I do get what I'm looking for, I will be completing all world events aside from propaganda outposts. The reason why propaganda outposts are typically avoided is there's not really a lot for XP versus time investment. Propaganda outposts are time capped. You have to be there in range, completing the objective for a certain period of time. It is, as one would say, time locked. The return investment for XP versus time is just generally not worth it. Territory controls are very regular and a quick and good one to obviously participate in. However, your main ones are going to be convoys as well as elite convoys. Not only do these just flat out offer you the most XP for you to get your stars, they can obviously drop loot, specifically the elite resource convoys. Elite patrols are another good source of XP. These typically consist of 4 enemies, one of which would normally be a chunga of some description. They are very easily dealt with and quickly obliterated with minimal effort. It is just 4 enemies after all. You will typically have a chunga, an elite, which is the yellow bar, a veteran, which is the blue, and 1 red. Guess where you start. Now, with all this being said, obviously we are wanting to farm XP as well as pieces. So, a caveat to all of this is keep an eye on public executions. Simply because these technically are 2 events in one. 1, the public execution. 2, upon completing the public execution, they will drop a bounty. Bounties on heroic are from this manner of completion i.e. the public execution itself, will typically spawn a heroic bounty with 3 named elites. Named elites have a higher chance of 1. Dropping you exotics, 2. Dropping you named gear. So, public executions are kind of the way to go with this. They're not going to garner you as much XP versus time investment when it comes to things like convoys. If you're just farming XP, feel free to spread yourself all over the map and just spam those convoys. However, if you are looking for something in particular but wouldn't mind a bit of extra resources, maybe a named item, maybe some exotic components, during a global event such as Golden Bullet, a good way to get around this and basically have your pick of all of them is public executions. You get a good amount of XP for the time investment when it comes to the actual public execution, and then you have the bounty. Bounties offer you resources. You typically get the SHD as well as optimization resources from the named elites. You get your currency, which will help you upgrade and maintain your gear, as well as a good amount of XP because you are literally taking out 3 named elites. Now, despite the fact that I have just bigged up the old public execution, your priorities will still be convoys, elite convoys, then public executions. However, if there is an elite patrol nearby that you can potentially do on the way, that would then slightly slot in. So this would then be convoys, elite convoys. If there's a close elite patrol, then public execution. If not public execution, then the elite patrol. For the bounties, typically when you complete your public execution, you will be given a bounty in that area. There are some bounties, depending on what it is you're doing and the enemies you're facing, etc., where the bounties will take you out of the area you are in. If you wish to do these, that is fine. However, you can abort those bounties and save them for later. There is nothing to say you can't just postpone certain things. You have 15 minutes to get to a lot of these bounties. It is more than feasible for you to do a few things on the way. Now, there is a lot of information going around about how much XP things advertise as well as how much things actually give. However, one thing none of these actually take into account is time investment, which is one of the reasons why I would suggest public executions. They're typically quite easy to do. There's only one wave and you get 2 little friends. Although they're mostly useless, they can and do help you out. Despite the fact that in terms of XP, a Warhound convoy would give you 130% of your current SHD level. So completing a convoy is guaranteed. Warhound convoy is guaranteed to give you at least a minimum of 1 level. However, a public execution with 5 directives is only 53% of a level. Now riddle me this: how long does it take you to complete a Warhound convoy versus a public execution? Now riddle me this: how many public executions are there on the map versus a Warhound convoy? Again, a typical resource convoy will give you 98% of a level. Adding in kill XP, you are guaranteed pretty much to get 1 level with 5 directives. If we now add in the rate in which resource convoys spawn versus territory controls, a territory control on heroic with 5 directives will give you 50% of a level. Resource convoys also have 2 waves. There's the initial 4 enemies carrying the boxes. You kill them, you get 1 wave, you kill them, you get another wave, you kill them. Territory controls is just 1 extra wave and typically averages between 5 and 7 enemies, depending on the faction. So if you're able, depending on the build you're running, if you are able to do 2 territory controls in the space it would normally take you to reach, because they're moving as well. Territory controls are static, resource convoys like to walk around a bit. So if you can do 2 territory controls by the time it would take you to do 1 resource convoy, both would garnish you or give you the exact same amount of XP essentially. Territory controls effectively in that manner are more optimal. However, this is where your build would then come in, as well as your playstyle. It is a well-known fact within the Division community that since Floor 10 died, rest in peace, the best XP farm is de facto resource convoys. However, this also assumes that you are playing it in the most optimal manner. And by that, I mean you are running this. Regulus, Punch Drunk, the Gift Backpack, Chain Killer Chest, Contractor's Gloves, Dodge City Holster, Fox's Prayer. All rolls, minus obviously the named items and, well, actually including the exotic, will be headshot and weapon handling. If you can't fit both on, you go with headshot. All mods are headshot. This allows you the most bang for your buck, as well as speed and power. The caveat to this is it assumes that you can actually aim. For someone like me, despite the fact that I love this build, it's probably one of my favourite builds of all time, pretty much in any game ever, because it is just so satisfying. If you don't hit your headshots, there's no point playing it. It's also why this build exists, swapping out Contractor's Gloves for Walker Harris Gloves. This gives us 2-piece Walker Harris for our 5% damage to armor, so we are losing a grand total of 3% DTA. However, we are gaining another 8% in weapon handling. For me, personally, this is the better option, simply because my aim sucks. I believe it was Hutcher that told me that although Regulus build is the most powerful and optimal way to play in the open world, you would need to be able to hit a minimum of 50% of your shots in order for that to actually take place. And by hit, he does mean headshots, not body shots. If you hit a body, that is, in the grand scheme of a Regulus build, a miss. You need to hit 50% of your headshots. However, as you can see in this footage, that at no point have I actually put a Regulus build on. This is the build I am running. I have Lady Death for the Zoomies, ACS 12 with Pummel for Everything Must Die Now, 4-piece Hunter Fury, Memento and a Gruppo chest. I'm running Intimidate on the chest because of the Memento stacks. Adding in Golden Bullet, this does work. Like, it seriously puts in the work. The plus side to this build over the Regulus is Chungers are easier to deal with, because I haven't got to break them to waste stacks and then rebuild. However, this will not clear content as quick. And with all this being said, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Especially with Golden Bullet, all of your survivability should come from the fact that you kill things quick. If you're going to optimize your farm in Golden Bullet, you do not want blue cores. Everything red. The most blue cores you want on there is going to be from Memento, if you decide to use Memento. Red cores all the way. Want to put some armor on kill on there or some armor regen? Go for it. However, survivability during Golden Bullet event is kill it now, kill it faster, kill its family tree, take it back to your parents and then kill them too. This is all about optimizing your Golden Bullet farm. With that being said though, this theoretically does work without Golden Bullet. A lot of my levels, I'd say at least half of them, have actually come from spamming public executions with bounties. A lot of my resources, as well as the equipment I have, come from bounties. So hopefully this has maybe given you a few ideas on how to optimize your Golden Bullet farming, or just farming in general, as well as, I don't know, something to watch. If you're still here, thank you very much. I hope to see you again pretty damn soon. In the meantime, have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.